What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Chris Moore, and in today's video we got one of the biggest, baddest cruisers to ever be made on the market. And this thing is made by Yamaha. Whoa, hey little buddy. Customer got his dog with him, Boston Terrier. He's hanging out, checking out the dyno. But anyways, check this thing out. 1700 cc's Yamaha VMAX. It is a V4, meaning there's the V sits like that, of course, but there's 4 cylinders. Like a Harley is a V twin, meaning 2 cylinders. This bike has 4 cylinders, and Yamaha really cranks out the horsepower with these bikes. They make huge power, but they also have huge restrictions. Probably the most heavily restricted ECU out of any bike that we've done so far. We're gonna show this thing baseline pull, what it does stock, and then we're gonna unrestrict it and tune it with this Hendel custom exhaust and see what kind of power gains we can get out of it. Stay with us guys, here we go. Before we get into running this bike on the dyno, I'm going to show you what kind of power restrictions this thing has. So you can see here I've got a stock map opened up in the ECU editor, and that's the electronic throttle valve, meaning when you go twist the throttle, this is how the computer regulates and controls the throttle. So you can see here we go to gear 5, which is that's the high gear on this bike. There is no 6th, but 4th and 5th are the same, okay? So you can see in 4th gear, this is your 100% throttle column. This is your RPM column. So the bike redlines at 9,800 from the factory. You can see as we scroll over to 9,800 RPMs, it is limited to 54% throttle, guys. So even though you're wide open, the computer cuts it back to 54% throttle. And it doesn't even go 100% throttle until 5,500. So at 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 RPMs, the bike is heavily limited. And on a cruiser like this, you ride it at low RPMs like that. You're not always twisting it for everything it's worth. Now, when we go to 5th gear, top speed stuff, look, 29%. At 8,000 RPMs, it goes back to 43%. At 8,500 RPMs, 29% throttle. So Yamaha is saying, no, cutting us back all our top speed. We're gonna unrestrict that today, get rid of all those restrictions, tune the fuel map on this thing, tune the ignition map. The ignition map is also heavily restricted for the ignition timing, but we are gonna tune this thing out. Carbon fiber, full exhaust system, and a K&N drop-in air filter. Let's see what this thing does on the baseline pull. Comment in the comments below, take a guess, see what you think. I'm gonna say 160. 160 is still a lot, especially for a cruiser. Keep in mind that a new Harley, 100-ish. Warm up a few minutes and make the baseline pull. All right guys, baseline pull, here we go. Guys, did you hear the engine go from It literally, you can hear the throttle plates close back down. It goes from being wide open to literally being 29% throttle. We had a top speed of right around 140 miles per hour. We're gonna see how that changes. We're gonna bump the rev limiter up just a smidge, not a lot. I don't really see a need to rev it higher. We just wanna keep it wide open the whole way. This is gonna be interesting to see what this thing makes. I'm gonna say it picks up pretty big, judging by the way the power goes. I mean, it literally is going straight up and then just whoo, straight down. Let's see how it goes.
Here we go, guys. First pull with the unrestricted ECU. Let's see how it does.
Right after the unrestricted ECU, we went from 157 horsepower to 176 horsepower. We went from a top speed of about 140 miles per hour to almost 165. Keep in mind, we still have not raised the rev limiter. That's the factory rev limiter. I really don't see much of a need to raise the rev limiter on this bike, to be honest with you, because the horsepower starts tapering back down just a tad. So it really does no good to rev it farther. But wow, humongous gains. If you guys want to get your ECU Flashed on your VMAX, hit us up, moremafia.com. You can send your ECU to us. We flash it, mail it right back out to you. We send them back out the same day that we receive them. So real quick turnaround. We can get major gains out of your ECU. Now we're about to start tuning the fuel and the ignition for this exhaust system to get even more horsepower out of this VMAX. I can't wait to see what we get. Big gains on this thing, 180 horsepower and 120 foot-pounds of torque. You can see we started out with 157 and 113. So massive gains. Look at how much farther it pulls out. So let's just say at 80, well, we can technically go to 8,500 RPMs. We had 73 horsepower. We gained up to 177. So technically in fifth gear, we gained 100 horsepower at 8,500 RPMs. Insane amount of gains. But even here where the thing is not restricted, just by tuning the fuel system, we went from 157 to 166. And then here on your peak torque at 6,500 RPMs, from 113 to 120. But even look down here, how much torque we gained. We went from 97 to 102, and that's at 4,000 RPM. So big gains throughout the whole entire power curve. And then if we switch this over to speed for mile per hour, we now have a top speed of close to 160 miles per hour. So big gains there as well, where we were looking at a top speed of about 138. So overall, ECU Flash, definitely a must-have for this thing. Check us out, moremafia.com. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Smash that like button. As always, guys, we'll see you next time.